Good morning and welcome to everyone to the conference number one of the knowledge of itself. Today we will see the conference number one of the phase A, knowledge of itself and objectives. I am John Howard. I am the instructor of this website or this fan page or YouTube channel. And today I will show you what is the self-knowledge or the knowledge of itself and how to practice it. Welcome. With this course, we seek human regeneration and teach the correct and precise steps for self-realization of the self. In it, you will find 50 practical lessons that contain all the clues that lead to the liberation of consciousness. So, at the right, you can find our social networks. You can find this conference and the next conferences in the Facebook fan page, in the YouTube channel, in the Wiki, also in our website. And if you want to keep contact with us, you can use the WhatsApp number. So it is important to know, first of all, that this is a completely practical knowledge. The knowledge that we will teach or we will show is the ancient knowledge, the ancient hidden knowledge that had the cultures like the ancient Greek culture, Egyptian, Chinese, Mayan, Aztec, Indian culture, and this is explained in an easy way, in a very clear way to all the humankind, to all the humanity. So let's start learning what is know yourself. To know yourself is to have achieved identity with your own divine being. To know yourself identical to your own spirit. To directly experience the identification between the known and the knowable. This is what we can and must define as self-knowledge. The fundamental thing in life is to really get know yourself. Where do we come from? Where do we go? What is the purpose of existence? What do we live? What do we live for? etc. Certainly, knowing yourself is the fundamental thing. Everyone thinks they know themselves when they don't really know themselves. So it is necessary to come to full knowledge of yourself. And this requires incessant self-observation. We need to see ourselves as we are or as we really are. Unfortunately, people easily admit that they have a physical body. They accept that they have it because they can see it, feel it, but their psychology is a little different. Certainly, since they cannot see their own psyche, since they cannot touch or feel it, for them is something vague that they do not understand. When someone begins to observe himself, it is an unequivocal sign that he has the intention of changing. Whoever really wants to know the internal worlds of planet Earth, the solar system, or the galaxy in which we live must first know their intimate world, their particular inner life, their own internal worlds. So there is a sentence in the ancient temple of Apollo in Delphos in the ancient Greece. We can see the sentence: "Know yourself, and you will know the universe and the gods." Noscete ipsum. Noscete ipsum means know yourself, and you will know the universe and the gods. Each one of us has his own divine wisdom, which is that of the real inner being of him. We know that God is everywhere, but do we know our own part of divinity? So at this point, the conference teaches some things like knowing yourself is the fundamental thing in life, and that is because we don't know ourselves in a proper way. The conference teaches that we don't really know ourselves. We have an illusion, or we have the illusion that we know ourselves because we know that what we like and what we don't like. We think that we know ourselves because we know our name and surname, but this is not self-knowledge. We must learn to see ourselves as we are, because within the framework of this delusion, We believe that we have no shortcomings, no defects, no mistakes or errors, and also that we have many virtues, that we are very good people, that we are very good people, and we have a better image of ourselves. So we need to see, or we need to observe as we really are. If we want to know the reality that is outside, we must know the reality that is inside. And for this, we will use the self observation. The self observation is a power, an ability that we will use to see and to understand each thing that happens in our internal universe, inside us, obviously inside us. So we are constituted of three parts: the physical body of matter, the soul or mind of energy, and the spirit or consciousness of light. So the first thing is the physical body of matter. It is the human machine. We will call this body the human machine because it is a machine, and we will show you that in next conferences. So our physical body or human machine, we have it, but it is not only who we are. The second thing is the soul or mind of energy, the multiple psyche. This is very important because here we have the 97% of essence trapped, psychic energy, which originates all our movements, and that we do not know even though we live much longer in the inner world than in the outer world. Here we find all our different ways of being, or flaws, or psychological defects, or errors, mistakes, and things like that. The third thing is the spirit or consciousness of light. It is the real, the true, eternal. And it is the 3% of free and conscious essence or divine wisdom. It real, the true, the eternal or immortal, the knowing of each one what is not of time and never passes. So as you can see, we have 100% of consciousness, but it is divided by into 97 trapped and 3% free. We need to release and awake that 97% of trapped consciousness. So to reach the inner knowledge, we must study. In order to reach the inner knowledge, we must study the four pillars of wisdom, which will allow us to slowly penetrate into that inner world called oneself, as we say at the beginning of the conference. So the four pillars of wisdom are the following. First, the science. But this is not the normal science. This is not the science of the humankind, of the society. This is a superior science. So the experimentation is the basis of conscious science. Science teaches us the different procedures to be able to know our inner world and experience it directly. The word knowledge comes from knowing, not believing. This is not a belief, this is not a religion, this is a practical science. Through practice, we can experience directly in the different dimensions of nature. And in order to do that, we teach these following practices. We teach the practice of concentration, relaxation, astral unfolding, who is very popular, meditation, retrospection, karma negotiation, karma cancellation, and many others. These practices, uh, uh, this practice has the power to change our lives. We can change our lives when we pay the karma, when we know or we reach a higher dimension, when we develop the power of the concentration. Those practices made powerful changes inside us. Practice makes the master, so we must practice until we succeed. The second pillar is the art. The art teaches us to create, how to create ourselves. The great possibilities of the human being are latent in the sexual center. Also, it is important to know that the supra sex or superior sex allows us to create the superior existential bodies of the being to be able to have representation in the different dimensions of nature. As we say, this physical body is not the single body, not only one body. We have another bodies. This is achieved through the sexual union of man and woman, the insertion of the male phallus in the female yoni, without loss of the sexual creative energy. So we know three types of sexuality: the infrasex, which is the most common sexuality; normal sex, it is to reproduce the species only for reproduction purposes. But we have the supra-sex. The supra-sex is the practice of the gods, the practice of awakened beings. So we need to change our sexual behavior. We need to change that infrasex to the suprasex. In the infrasex, the person reach the orgasm and lose the energy. The person is destroying himself. But we teach to change, to go out of that infrasex and practice the suprasex to get power from our energy to regenerate our physical body and also regenerate our soul and the same spirit. So, the practice of suprasex or superior sex, first of all, we need the conjuration of Belladin and magic circle. This is to protect us, to clean the environment and protect us. We will teach these conjurations in next conferences. They supplicate for assistance to our inner Father and to the Divine Mother in the practice. The inner Father and the Divine Mother are two sparkles inside of our being. They are inside us. They are a part of our spirit. So we need to ignite the fire with caresses and kisses until feminine yoni achieves the perfect lubrication for penetration. And then connection or penetration of the lingam with yoni, penis and vagina. In the case of the woman, this is the respiratory process. The respiratory process has three stages. First, inhalation, about 20 seconds. Imagine the air entering into the lungs. During the inhalation, we imagine the air entering into the lungs, send the breath to the sexual glands, in this case, the ovaries, and then comes the second step, the retention, about 20 seconds. In the retention step, we imagine and feel a golden thread ascends the spinal column, vertebra by vertebra, until it reaches the space between the eyebrows. We can see the blue line and the golden line, and in the image of the left, to see the process. And then the exhalation, mantralizing slowly by elongating the vowels E, A, and O. So we inhale, retain, and exhale about 20 seconds, depending of the lung capacity, and then inhalate, retain, and exhale. And again, inhale, retain, exhale. And again, keep doing the same process, vowel by vowel, repeating the entire respiratory process for each vowel. Withdraw energy. This step is extremely important. Withdraw without spilling energy. This practice it is to gain power from the energy, not to lose the energy. We need to save the energy. In the case of the men, it is the same process. Inhalation, imagine the air entering the lungs, send the breath to the sexual glands, imagine and feel the golden thread ascend the spinal column vertebra by vertebra until it reaches the space between the eyebrows. The exhalation, and then inhalation, retention, exhalation, inhalation, retention, exhalation, and keep repeating vowel by vowel, repeating the entire respiratory process for each vowel. And again, the men also withdraw without spilling energy. This is very important. Do not lose the energy. Do not spill the energy. Do not spill the energy out of the body. It is important to avoid the orgasm, to not reach the orgasm. The practice can continue for as long as the couple wishes. It is important to withdraw without reaching the physical orgasm or spilling the sexual creative energy. It should be practiced once at night. With patience, prudence, and perseverance, there will be progress vertebrae by vertebrae, body by body. It should be combined with self-observation and the psychological depth of any impressions received during the day. The third pillar is the psychology, which is also very, very important because it teaches the psychological depth. So, the psychology teaches that our energy is embedded in each of our defects. We are men machines, simple puppets handled by invisible strings. We lack a true individuality. Each defect moves in a different direction. We are never the same. Many people, it is like many people live within us. We are never identical. Sometimes a mean person manifests itself in us, others an irritable person, at any other moment a splendid benevolent person, later a scandalous or slanderous person, then a saint, then a liar, etc. We always are a different person. So we are talking about the ego. That specific things are things who belong to the ego. So the ego defects or psychological aids are represented by the seven heads of the legion, who are anger, pride, lust, laziness, greed, gluttony, and envy. Also, we have two powerful demons or defects inside us, who are the betrayal and the fornication, the loss of the energy. So we are machine men, simple marionettes pulled by invisible strings. We can see this work of elimination of the ego or death of the ego or killing these demons. We see it in the ancient Greece as Theseus against the Minotaur, as Perseus against the Medusa. This is ancient hidden knowledge. The Minotaur represents the ego, the psychological defect, and Medusa represents also the psychological defect, especially the defect of alcohol and drugs. So we are Theseus, we are Perseus. Also, we find these seven heads when the Christ Jesus expelled the seven heads of Legion, and the Christ Hercules defeats the seven-headed beast in the ancient Greece. So we see another representation of this beast of seven heads. The self-observation is the way that we can use to destroy the psychological defects. When we begin to seriously self-observe our interior world, we will be surprised by the quantity of defects we have within. We always are a different person. Each one of defects is a completely different person. By eliminating the defects, or by eliminating any of the defects, the consciousness that it had trapped is released. With the depth of each one of the eyes, we recover the wisdom and love that were enclosed in it. In this way, the released sparks are integrated into the free consciousness. So, this is the method to liberate the consciousness. This is very, very important. First, or one, self-observe ourselves at every moment to be able to discover the different defects that are manifested to us. We need to be awake. We need to vigil. We need to see the defects in our mind, in our emotion, in our body. Two, discover a defect must be prosecuted until it's understood. And three, once understood, it must be eradicated by means of a supplication of elimination to our particular divine mother. So we see or we detect a psychological defect, for example, in our mind as a remember or as a thinking. We discover that defect, we see that defect with a self observation and must be prosecuted until it's understood. And then we ask to our divine mother, for example, divine mother, kill this eye. Divine mother, destroy this defect. Divine mother, destroy this emotion, destroy this thinking, destroys the will to fight. Divine mother, kill this will to fornicate, kill this will to have a fight with a friend or a familiar, anything. We need to see the defects, that mistakes, errors, and will be eradicated by means of supplication of elimination to a particular divine mother. This work of death of the psychological defect or the death of the ego, we can see it also in the Asian cultures, as for example, the sun god Ra kills the serpent Apep in Egypt, and the sun god Apollo kills the snake Python in Greece. This is not a coincidence. This is the hidden knowledge that we are showing, that we are teaching. Also, we can see it clearly in Asia when the Christ Rama defeats Ravana and his Raksasa demons. The Raksasa are the psychological defects, the eyes, and Ravana is the ego. The ego is the summatory of the defects of the ego is a multiplicity. And we can see the Christ Buddha defeats Mara and the demons of Mara. They are showing the work that we need to do to destroy that army of psychological defects and then defeat the ego. We need to be like Buddha, like Rama, like Jesus. Also, this divine mother is our real mother. This mother lives inside us. Our particular inner divine mother can also be found in each ancient culture. In Greece as Mother Rhea, Hera, Athena, Cybele; in Egypt as the goddess Isis, Nephthys, Hathor; in pre-Columbian cultures such as Tonantzin, Coatlicue; in the Hindu culture like Mother Devi Kundalini Shakti, Lakshmi, Parvati, Saraswati, among others. Our mother has five aspects. Also, the Divine Mother Mary and the Goddess Durga, and many representations of the Divine Mother inside us. And the fourth pillar is the mystic. The mystic teaches us to love the work, or to love work, both inside and out. A person begins to know the inner world when he has begun to experiment to check the reality of her own particular being. A person begins to know the inner worlds when they have begun to experience and prove themselves the reality of their own particular being. As much as the creation of the bodies are important, so is the disintegration of the defects and the sacrifice for humanity, which allow us to develop love towards the work and for the work in itself. This one is the most difficult things because of the state we presently find ourselves, as previously described. When we unselfishly develop the sacrifice for humanity, we begin to experience love for it, and we vibrate with the marvelous force of love and experience an important change in each one of ourselves. So, only through practice and direct experience can we continue perfecting our capacity to fulfill this work, which is what we call mysticism. So, love is not possible without actions. And to finalize this conference, these are the objectives of the knowledge of itself: the self-realization of the self, the regeneration of the human being, the liberation of all our consciousness, the creation of the superior existential bodies of the being, the knowledge of all laws, the knowledge of the higher dimensions, embody our individual Christ, the resurrection in himself, and achieve sacred individuality. So at this point, this conference teaches the four pillars. We use the science to verify each topic and know the universes. We say universes because we have an universe inside us and there is another universe outside us. So we use practices, for example, the astral projection, to know both universes. Also the meditation. We can use the meditation to reach the sixth dimension, for example. So the art to regenerate ourselves to gain power and create bodies. This supra sex or superior sex is the better way to be powerful. If we really want to be a really powerful man or really powerful woman, we need to use these sexual practices without fornication, without spill the energy. The psychology to change us and free our consciousness. If we practice the psychological death, we really will be a different person. We be a very different person because we can destroy those bad things, those heavy things inside our psychology, and we will be a real conscious person. And the mystic to love humanity and win the dharma. We need dharma to pay the karma. The karma is paid with the dharma, and we gain dharma with the mystic teaching, with the love for the humankind. So the next conference is the conference number 2 of phase A. What is that and what dies and what doesn't die? You can find the entire conferences in the following languages: in Español, in English, in francés, en portugués, in italiano, en по-русски язык, in Russo, in Russian. And to finalize this conference, we ask you to please share this knowledge. Share this knowledge is very important. If you can do it, please do it. Please share this conference or share this website or this YouTube channel. And as you know, we seek the human regeneration with this course. So thank you so much for your assistance. If you have any question, you can send your questions to our WhatsApp number or the messenger of the fan page of the Facebook fan page. So thank you so much for your assistance. See you in the next conference, the conference number 2, and have a good day.